ahead and start it. Perfect.
Bury your throat,
Change the
spider
volume
bait.
on your end a little bit, just so people can hear
Try
you
laughing
well.
after I rip
There we
your
go.
throat out, no!
Now let's go ahead and send this a couple of places,
mind
and
getting out
yeah.
of my damn house.
Little Van was so very
So usually how
I'd hate for her
I've
to
conducted
go to
interviews in the
waste.
past, I usually do it in a couple of sections.
Don't act like you
The first one
miss
is
me.
I'll have a couple of opener questions, of
lie
course, if
to
you don't
the
mind.
Others, but not to me,
And then
Ethel. You
folks over
loved
the
it,
last week or
you
so have sent me
murderous little
questions.
shitbag.
And then we can just head straight into the
I'm going to rip out your
live Q&A
spine.
section. So if anybody has any questions, the first two sections usually just
This is
filters
my
and mitigates
house,
some of the more popular
and you
questions.
will mind your manners.
And
Or I will use
then
that
usually just a
empty
closer
skull
from
of
there, you
yours
know, a couple of
as
the
a
closer
teapot.
questions, and
It's not
yeah.
my fault the Ricklet's tainted by shadow magic. I want nothing to do with you or that scum in your brain.
See for yourself, Petal. Am I not glowing?
This is my
can,
personal playhouse.
I
and
can
you
definitely scan
don't
the
have an
questions
invite.
beforehand and
Get
ensure
out.
that, yeah.
Fine.
No?
Here.
Hmm.
A thief who tried to steal
So is,
from Auntie. Now the good little
Are
pet
video games sort of a,
guards
like,
my
new
home.
venture for you?
Ah! You cost me, and you hag, little shit. Diminuote, my fortune. You had better. Or I'll
You
cut you
find
into little
video games
pieces
intriguing
and
and the motion
serve you
capture
with a
experience?
slice of lemon. Don't get cocky!
Venra sits in my belly, growing fat with power. In time, I'll vomit her up and have myself a fresh young hag to train.
In my workroom. Filthy underscum!
Unfortunately,
Oh,
that
really?
leaves me in a
Oh,
pickle.
that's awesome.
For while I'd love to rip your guts out, I shouldn't. Exertion is bad for the baby, you know.
Closer, little softy. You'll be
I also saw
tender.
your interview
Lumbering
with someone
half-orc,
named Dan Allen.
Twice as ugly as your parents
Yeah.
combined.
That's
I
when
can smell what's under those
I ended up peeking
bandages,
that on
wizard.
YouTube, and that's
You're a
that
Russian
sparked
ruin.
the inspiration
I've
to
cured
reach
many
out
of
myself.
lycanthropy,
Yeah,
Petal, but with that little fella in your head,
I like his. I
all
like.
bets are off.
What was that? Sorry.
Are you lost, little one? Maybe
No,
your
no.
soul
I
will
like his
make
interview
it
style.
back
He's
home.
really professional and
Only
really good at
evil
what he
here
does.
is what's
So
inside you, Ranger.
something that
Oh, your
I
head
enjoy
slave.
myself.
You remember how, don't you?
I've had a few now.
I wonder which parent regrets you
Started
more.
with
Half
Baldur's Gate
breed.
Wise was Raphael.
You'll butcher your friends and
Andrew,
your
and
loved ones like the illicit scum you
first
are.
set was
Bet your clan's happy you're
Jason
gone.
Page. He's the original singer to the
You're
Pokemon theme
everyone's
song, so that was
punching
fun.
bag and no one's favorite.
Yeah,
Deep
got
down,
to
you
find out a lot
like
about
being
him.
leashed, don't you? I'll burn you alive, and
And,
everyone will celebrate.
a couple of
Neil
others
boy,
from
just like the
Borderlands
matriarchs
and
taught you to.
one, and
Well,
there's one person who
no,
was the
but I'm sure you'll
Broadway
be fine.
Genie
All
for
that bloodlust, a
in New
little
York.
tap, and I
So
bet
he
you
was
wouldn't
he was the
have
genie
friend
from
from
Aladdin
foe.
in New York for 3
I'll
years
show
or
you
so.
what a
That
true
was interesting.
fae does, dearie. Need a new master, a little lover? Think you're a person because you're walking on 2
Yeah, I
feet.
started when I was
Adorable.
probably, I would say, 6
Fancy
years
yourself
old.
immortal. We'll
Yeah,
see how
I got
long
a
that
I
lasts.
got a console for my 6th birthday from
No
my uncle,
flabby dwarf's a threat to
and
me.
since then it
Another
was
human
all history
rat
from there.
infesting Faerun. Who would be jealous of you, apprentice? You're
Yeah, oh
one
gosh,
thirsty night away
over
from
20 years
betraying
now. Good
everyone.
lord. Yeah,
Just a
been something for sure.
sniveling child playing the beast. I'll squeeze that stone heart until it bleeds, dwarf. What kind of botched portal brought something like you here? More beard than brains, the
Yeah,
lot of
there's
you.
there's
You
different styles of art.
foul-breathed
There's
little
writing, and
lizard.
then
Surprised you
you
show
have
yourself
folks as
in
yourself
public.
either doing voice or the acting work to bring
Abomination.
this to life, to breathe life into the
Fraud
character.
of the frontiers.
And,
Won't have any friends after
I have
the
it
full
sectioned
moon,
in
girl.
here, but Auntie Ethel
Disgusting
and the
burrow
Hag in
rat.
game they're the same character, but they're
Freakish
two
thing.
totally different
I
approaches.
bet everyone stares when you walk by.
Yeah, exactly. Two
Oh, look.
tonality
It's
and
Daddy's regret.
expression. It's totally different
Can't
sides.
wait
and
to throw a collar
that
on
just
your
makes
neck
a new
and
character,
make you
basically.
my familiar. Just another of Lol's pretty harlots. Half elf, half human. All useless. Your people will never take you back, illicit scum. I see the hells spit out another tragic little tiefling. A half
This is
drow.
oh, sorry.
How grotesque.
No,
Is there still
talking
rat
for a long time.
stuck in your teeth?
Definitely needed.
Slave. Do you miss kissing Vlakid's
I imagine
feet?
it's warm over where you're at too.
Quaint. The hamster has
Yeah.
a pet. I'll tan your hide, beast. You don't.
So I'm in the middle of
scare
Canada.
me, wolf.
It's
You don't
boiling
scare
hot here.
anyone.
Yeah.
To your betters,
I have my
boy.
AC on. I don't know if you
Go
can hear that at
rub
all.
your
If that's
rat soft
annoying.
skull.
Okay.
How
Fixed everything
revolting.
properly then. Awesome.
Another
good to hear.
thin-blooded mongrel. Not a lot like you.
Perfect.
You'll be my prettiest trophy.
Yeah, I just ended up
Filthy
getting back
underscum.
from vacation.
Try laughing after I
on the
rip your
26th,
throat out. No,
and
I'll banish
I
you
was
for
in,
good, outsider.
Seattle,
Bury
Portland,
your
USA
throat,
area.
spider bait.
Beautiful
I'll
out there,
rip your
but
spine
also
out your asshole.
completely.
Bet you trade your friends
ridiculously
for a
hot.
trinket or two, gold eater.
It was
Happy
a
to sell
42
everyone's
Celsius
soul but
day.
your own, aren't you?
Yeah.
Grey and useless as a stone comb. Elves are so pretty. Pretty worthless. When I'm done, even the hells won't
Yeah,
want
I
you.
was surprised. That's
Do
definitely
you
not
think
normal.
losing that I made you a hero? Oh, where's your clan? Bet they'd exile you for that brainworm in a blink. Come now, tusks for brains. Doesn't
Yeah.
this make you angry? Slaver. Sadist.
Yeah, houses
dare you
built out
judge
there are meant to like
me?
keep
Why
heat
would
in because it's
Shar
normally
love you
rainy
when
and
no
like
one
cool
else
all the time,
does?
and without air
The toad
conditioning,
or the
then
tadpole.
you're
fitting.
you're in
Bet
a
that
style
other
of
of
brick
your
or
shutters
whatever it's
is
built
your
by, and you're
scales.
just kind of
I'm
cooking
one
inside
step
there, and
closer
it's
to wiping your kind off Faerun for
I haven't
good.
been. I know a
You're
few people
so
from,
far
and
up
you
Shar's
hear
kink,
stories, and
you can't see straight.
you kind of get a better understanding when
Pathetic.
you speak
A
to
human, so
folks from,
desperate
all
to
over
be
the world.
special. A tiny sweet morsel, just
Well, I
for
think
me.
audio-wise, I'm all good on this
Bye-bye,
end.
Ethel.
Would
Far side
you
of
be
a desert
ready to go?
of worry. You know exactly what
Perfect.
this illithid parasite will do to you. Within 7 days,
And
you'll
let's
become
do
a mind
countdown of
flayer.
5,
But what about the
4,
bomb in your
3,
chest?
2,
Ceramorphosis is
1.
likely to destabilize it.
All right, and we are good to go. Thank you all so much for joining, everybody. I'm joined here by Rena. Would you like to give yourself an introduction to everyone who may not know who you are?
Okay, my name is Rena Valeh. I played Auntie Ethel and the Hag, and also Tara the Tryssam in Baldur's Gate 3. So that's who I am, and I'm in London.
That it's great that you pronounce both your first and last name because I actually had no idea leading into, and I wanted to make sure that I got everything correct there. So thanks
It's
for
a very strange, it's a strange name. Everyone gets it wrong. Don't worry about it. I don't get offended, so that's not an issue. So
that's good. That's good. Um, so, like I was mentioning just behind the scenes, and for everyone who did not hear that section, um,
right.
generally, just like to section everything off, we'll start with a couple of starter questions, if we may, and we can lead into fan questions throughout the week, and from there we
Okay.
can jump into a live Q&A section if anyone has any added stuff from there.
I just hope I can answer them all. I'll try.
We appreciate your time and giving us the opportunity to ask.
No, it's fantastic because the Baldur's Gate community has been astonishing. I was really taken aback by it. So no, it's nice to do this.
Well, yeah, Baldur's Gate has really a subsection of communities, but it's all under the same umbrella of Baldur's Gate. So,
Yeah.
and everyone's collectively in the same spot in one way or another, and it's really nice to see that sort of unifying of folks all in one place.
Yeah. 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 Yes, I know. I went to Comic-Con a little while ago and I'd never been to one before. And I was, oh my God, all these people dressed up. It was fascinating.
Hmm. It really shows a lot of the dedication that people will be willing to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're all turning up on the tube because it was over in East London. And I was sort of turning up on the underground, all dressed up. It was great. It was great fun. It was a nice thing to do. I didn't dress up, by the way, just to let you know.
Didn't go as a hag.
No. Neither did I go as Tara or Auntie Ethel. But I did see quite a few Taras around, which was nice.
Oh, that's lovely to see. Did you get
Yeah.
photos?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So that sort of slightly surprised me because I kind of went incognito. I went just to kind of see what it's all about, really. Um, but I was surprised at how many people kind of spotted me.
It must be a good feeling to, um, have that recognition and have all those memories to share with people.
Oh no, it's lovely, but I often don't come across as it, but I'm actually quite a shy person. So to sort of suddenly have all these people kind of, oh my God, you're Auntie Ethel. Oh my God, I love Tori. Think, oh right, yes, that's very nice. Thank you. I'm not quite sure what to say now. But yeah, no, it was great. It was nice to actually meet the people who are playing the game as well, actually, and who love it. Great.
Yeah, everyone that I've spoken to has said that the project started around 2019 or so, if that's
Yeah.
correct. But we're at the 5 year mark since production has started, and if anything, um, things are just kind of picking up steam even more than they were when everything was just starting because there's um, still stories that are being written. There's still patches that are coming to the game. There's
Right.
still appearances from the actors in different conventions, and BAFTA just happened recently, so
Yes, that's right.
there's
Yeah, Andrew got that. Yeah, fantastic.
yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, definitely deserved. He's a
Yeah.
wonderful person to.
Oh, that yeah, yeah. And he's lovely, actually. He's very nice.
Yeah,
Very
he
nice.
was really nice to talk to. I was
Yeah, I'm sure.
very happy to be able to have a couple hours with him for sure.
Yeah.
Um, you were mentioning the Hag a little bit earlier. What were
Hmm.
sort of the inspirations for Ethel and the Hag?
Um, okay, we started working on Ethel in 2019. That was how we started. And they said that they wanted her to be Irish. So I had a family friend, and I thought, not that she was like Ethel, she was very nice. um, but I kind of used her voice, I suppose, and sort of to some extent her accent. Um, and they seemed happy with that. So we carried on with that. And then they showed me what the hag looked like. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to have to be completely different, isn't it? And there wasn't an inspiration. I kind of just opened my mouth to say a few lines, and that's kind of what happened. And we stuck to it, really. I thought that voice seemed to suit what she looked like,
Mm.
and sort of hoped for the best. Nothing kind of too dramatic. I just thought, okay, well, let's try this. And they said, fine, let's go with that.
So you would say that the model helped influence the startup of the voices? Would that be fair?
Um, Yes, I suppose so. Do you know, because it was 5 years ago, and I started on it in September 2019. Um, and and I think, as far as I remember, in the first few sessions, we didn't really have any image of the hag as such.
Mm.
Um, I think that's right. I may be completely wrong on that. Um, but yes, it's sort of seeing her definitely helped, actually. And they had um, just sort of hard copy images of what she could possibly look like.
Mm.
Um, and because she looks like a sort of sweet old lady with her cups of tea and everything, which is terrifyingly close to my own character, actually. I'm not so sure about the sweet though. But so yeah, so that kind of inspired the voice, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really nice to see the I guess folks behind the character, writers or such,
Yeah.
being able to um, help the actors bring their visions to life a little bit more, if it needs to be a physical aspect or even if it's a description. So it's,
Yes.
it's good to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, and of course, because Rachel Quirk, who is Irish, wrote The Hag and Ethel, and I mean her writing is great. It's very funny, and it's great fun to do actually for an actor.
Hmm.
Um, so she'd sort of throw in the odd thing, and when I discovered she was Irish, I thought, oh my God, she's going to hear my accent and she's going to hate it. But I think, oh my God, it's funny. But she was fine with it, and then I eventually met her, and we got on really well, and she was lovely actually.
Hmm.
It's very nice. Yeah.
And then you have to pull out the brutal voice lines that the hag says to the characters, and
It was I love doing her, except that it did grate on the throat a bit. So I did have to to take a few more breaks when I was doing the hag. Ethel was fun to do, but the hag was like, okay, let's get started on the hag. And yeah, we had to do breaks because it's quite a rasping voice actually.
yeah,
Um,
and if you're not protecting or
yeah,
taking measures, and you don't want to throw
yeah.
your voice out in the middle.
Yes, exactly. And also because they were sort of 3-4 hour sessions as well.
Oh boy.
Yeah, quite long.
Hmm.
And then I think with the hag, they did kind of cut them down. I think it was mostly 3 hour sessions after a while. 'Cause it was exhausting. My art was just too tiring for me. But yeah, so that was the hag. It was fun though. I enjoyed it.
There must be plenty of lines, because based on dialogue or the options that the players would choose, your response would change. So I imagine that there's varying sets of dialogue and voice lines that would have to be performed.
That really threw me actually, because I'm mainly a theatre actor.
Hmm.
And so of course it's a narrative that runs through, and it runs sort of in a narrative order. You know, it starts and then you get to the middle of the story and then you get to the end. But with this, often you were repeating lines, and of course at first I thought, I don't understand this, and then of course I got it because it depended on the player's reaction and what the player wanted to say and do and all that kind of thing. So yes, so there isn't a kind of logical narrative or chronological narrative, I suppose, in that sense. So yeah, that was quite confusing to start with. Um,
I know that video games aren't your forte, but on a player side, um, being able to have those options
mm,
really are able to immerse the person in. And
right.
when you combine it with the art form that is the actors to be able to personalize those lines. It really immerses the character or the person into the game,
Right.
and it's really hard to break that. It's really, you get kind of sucked in and you want more.
Right. Is that fairly standard for most video games? Is that how they work? So I'm asking you now. I'm going to interview you. How do most video games work? Thank you.
You know, um, options weren't really seen too often. Sometimes there's forks in the road, but you sort of get railroaded eventually. Actual open-ended options, not really seen that often.
Oh, right. So Baldur's Gate is quite unusual in that sense.
Yeah, it also brought turn-based combat back, where normally it would be a real time, but this is you can take your time to think out what you want to do. That also hasn't really been seen in a long time.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So it was quite groundbreaking in a sense in that way.
Yeah, it had the target audience of folks who are probably in their 20s to 30s that
Right.
played Dungeons and Dragons back in the
Yes, of
90s,
course. Yeah.
and um, that's when turn-based combat was really seen the most back then. So they really had a really good hone in on their target audience and what they wanted that to look like. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Because I wasn't sure if that's how most video games played.
they
That
definitely
sounds like
nailed what they wanted to achieve.
right. Yeah, it was very ambitious, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
A lot of times you kind of want to look forward and not really look at things that worked in the past, because sometimes it can not go the way that you want to, and yeah, that ambitious is a good way to put
Yeah.
it, because
Yeah.
um you want to try to change things, not necessarily look what worked previously,
Right.
but
Right.
they did modern twists while looking back, and it was just a beautiful collaboration of the two.
Okay. Good. Good.
Um, you mentioned theater, actually. I had a question for you, if I may. Um, does Bristol Old Vic Theater School ring a bell to you?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked into it while doing research, and
Right.
I noticed that it's I would say a rather prestigious school. It's very, very up there.
I like to think so. No, it was. Yeah. 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 I
Yeah.
mean, I don't. It's still going. So yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, while looking into it, I noticed that someone named Sir Daniel Day-Lewis attended at one
Oh yeah,
point.
him. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard of him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was I was blown away while I was just you know researching and just writing down notes, and I thought that would
Right.
be something to bring up for sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yes, I've worked with Dan.
Oh wow.
In our final year shows. Yeah, he was. I found him quite intimidating to start with because there was something sort of what's the word? Quite mysterious about him.
Mm,
Um, and he was quite quiet.
mm.
But once he was on stage, he just sort of transformed. So yeah, it was, but of course at the time we just thought, oh yeah, it's Danny, yeah, whatever. So we didn't have that sense of awe at all. But yeah, anything else?
That's
I can't give you any personal details about him, but because I don't know any actually, other than his acting. So yeah, that's it. No
uh,
gossip. Yeah.
oh darn, there goes my weekend plans.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was very disappointing, but yeah, because when in my first year he was already there, so he was in a different group. So it was really only in sort of rehearsals when we got together, actually.
Hmm. No,
And
that's interesting to know, and
yeah,
I'm really happy that I ended up finding
right.
that piece of info while
Mhm.
doing a little bit of research for that.
Yeah, three
Um,
Oscars later, I think he's doing okay.
I think he's doing quite all right. Yes. um, we were talking a little bit beforehand about motion capture. This was your first experience.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, we also talked about theater a little bit. What would you say audition experiences are for things like TV shows versus just strictly video games versus motion capture? What sort of like, is there a different process for that?
Yeah, there is. Um, with the thing is now, and I think, of course, since COVID, so much now is through self tapes.
Hmm.
Because in the old days, meaning pre-COVID, especially for theatre and to a certain extent for television, you'd actually go in and you'd have sort of face-to-face auditions. But now, um, I think they use self-tapes to sift out. You know, if you're completely wrong, there's no point in them seeing you. Um, Personally, I hate doing self-tapes. Like, you know, the dog knocks over the tripod, the lighting isn't right, you do a take and you think, "Yes, that was absolutely right," and the sound goes wrong. "Oh god, I'm gonna have to do the whole thing again," it's so frustrating. But, so for Baldur's Gate, I think I just did I think they were still sort of trying to sort out what Auntie Ethel was going to be like. So they asked for various different accents. So I think I did about three different accents for, and they went for the Irish accent. But actually, the funny thing was that because I'm somewhat technologically backward, I was supposed to send it in. Of course, I got it completely wrong and sent it in late, way past the deadline.
Hmm.
So I was really surprised that I actually ended up with it, which was lucky because I did think, oh my God, should I not bother to send it in because I've missed the deadline? But I did. But um, so for TV and for that, of course, for most voice work, it's just you don't do a self tape, you just do a little audio recording.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's changed a lot, and I think it's changed particularly since COVID, actually, because they didn't want, we couldn't do face to face, but it's become the standard now to do
Hmm.
self tape.
There was a person I spoke to recently who is in games and he does animated TV shows. Um,
Right,
since COVID, he said that he made a little tiny recording room out of plywood and he kind of just
right,
boxed himself in there, put a mic up, and that's just how he did his tapes. And
yeah.
found that mind blowing.
I would love to do that, but I live in London, and to have a flat more than about 3 by 3 feet by 3 feet, is somewhat out of my league. So I don't have the space to do that. And sometimes I get self-tape saying, "Oh, we want a full length shot, thank you." And I think, where on earth am I going to do a full length shot? So, and also the fact that I'm extremely untidy, so that doesn't help. So there's sort of stuff everywhere. But yeah, maybe cut that bit out, okay?
That's what the power of editing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. um, was there a pivotal moment that made you pursue voice work and acting?
Um, to be Well, do you know, there wasn't really a pivotal. I suppose that I used to go to the theatre a lot as when I, even as a child.
Mm.
Um, and obviously I love going to the theatre, but also I am a bit of a sort of political geek as well. And to be absolutely honest, when I was applying for drama school, I was also applying to do politics at university.
Oh wow.
And I thought, and then I got into Bristol. And I thought, oh well, I suppose I'll do acting then. But and I'm glad I did. It's been rocky, I have to say. But
Mm.
um, I think also because I'm a night person, and I I needed to find a job that you were mainly working at night. Actually, I thought, oh yeah, theatre, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, because once you go, the 3 week rehearsal period is over, your days are free, and you're just working at night, and that's fine.
Mm.
So, I mean, I sort of say that rather glibly, but I think that was certainly part of my thinking as well. To be honest, um, I'm just sort of more awake at night, so which is why we're doing this at 8 o'clock in the evening, of course.
I like to think that evening time sort of draws out more creativity. You know, you're sort of in
Yeah,
your own, I guess, entity, in your own being, and
yeah, yeah,
um, I don't know what it is, but just you're able to just focus more at night. I find the same way.
yeah. Yes, I think it's quite there's something quite liberating about it. I'm not quite sure what but I suppose people who are early morning people would disagree with that, I suppose. But I've always been a night person, even as a child. Hated going to bed early. Um, so yes, and also because I write as well. I'm not writing at the moment, so don't ask me anything about any writing project. So there's no great British novel coming out. But yeah, I do feel more creative at night, I think.
Hmm. It seems like expectations of everything else is just non-existent during the night, and you could just
Yeah.
be your be you.
Yes, exactly. And I think just the sort of practical thing, there's less likelihood of the phone ringing or anyone turning up or anything like that. So you do have much more in your own kind of little world, I suppose, and fewer interruptions.
I'm 100% behind that. I feel
Are
the
you a
same
night
way.
person too?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
good. Oh,
I
good. I'm so glad.
I fell asleep at 4 o'clock this morning, so
Oh,
I
oh, wow.
yeah, I'm
Oh my God.
super late.
How fantastic. Well, if I'm in bed by 3 a.m., I think, "Oh, yeah, it's an early night, so that's good." Well, you do know, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I have read studies where it says that night people are more intelligent, and whether it's true or not, I've decided to believe it. So, yeah, I'm sticking with that one.
It helps fit our own narrative in that sense.
Exactly. Yeah. So don't argue with me about it, okay? We're more intelligent.
There's a study that proves it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know who the study was by, probably other night people, I suspect. Yeah, okay, I'll try and be sensible now, but do go ahead.
Um, were any of your lines improvised, or was this all just directly from the writing team and Larian?
I think there were probably a couple of improvisations, but very little actually, because you have to be aware of what's going on in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think I might have changed a few lines here and there, but in the main, you stick to the script. Um,
I listened to the BAFTA panel that had several of the Baldur's Gate 3 voice actors and
right,
actors. But I like how Neil Astarian said it. He mentioned that there's a separation between myself and the character. It's very much his story, and I wanted to
right,
respect to the writing team's vision and
yeah,
creativity. So it's less
yeah.
of my story and more of
Oh
my
no,
character's
absolutely.
story. Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh yes, yeah. No, that's a good way of putting it. Actually, yes, it
Hmm.
is. It is, and especially in something like that, I think it has to be kind of completely full. Because the writers know what's going on. As an actor, when you come in, you don't really know what's happening or where you are in the thing. So you generally go with what the writers have put down.
Yeah. Out of the 35-minute panel or something, that's something that definitely stuck out for sure. So that was a very powerful line from Neil
Yeah,
Astarian. So big props to him there. So
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah,
and good to hear that you agree as well, because
yeah.
yeah, the writing team definitely deserves more credit. I think they did a really good
Yes,
job. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a shame in a way because actually, of course, the actors are the ones who are sort of up front in a sense. They're the ones that people hear. But no, and the writing in all of it is brilliant. And because I'm like, I only know who else no, I met also wasn't it Adrienne who wrote Tara.
Mm.
Um, and I think they have great fun with the writing. Actually, you can see it. They like the writing, and I think occasionally Rachel, who wrote Hag and Ethel, did get slightly carried away. But and I don't know if you saw she was interviewed and said that the Hag was based on her grandmother, and whoever it
It
was who
did.
believed her. It's like, no, it really wasn't true, honestly. Yeah.
um, with the mention of Tara, were there inspirations for Tara?
Um, No, that was slightly sprung on me actually. They said, "Oh yeah, you're a cat now." Okay, fine, right. So you're a cat. And Tara, for obvious reasons, was not motion capture. Tara was just audio.
Mm.
Um, so they said, "Oh yeah, here's Tara. Right, you're Tara." I'm like, "Oh right, okay. So how do you want Tara to sound?" And then they said, actually, they just wanted my natural voice for Tara.
Mm.
Um, so that made it a lot easier. But I was a little bit not wary, but I thought, oh, that's going to be a bit boring, isn't it? But then when I kind of got to know the character, it made sense. And one of the directors, Tom Mitchells, described her as a cross between Lady Bracknell from Importance of Being Earnest and Mary Poppins. And I thought, actually, that's quite a good description. So I took that and ran with it.
There's yeah, there's definitely, even if that was your natural voice, there's definitely a lot of character that comes out of Tara.
Yeah,
And um a lot of cat-like personalities. There's you
right.
know, I receive sarcasm a lot from Tara. There's definitely a
Yeah,
lot of sarcasm,
yes,
and if
yes.
a cat could talk, they would definitely be sarcastic, I would think.
I know, I've seen some of the other cats. The cats are great in it, actually. The cats in Baldur's Gate are very funny. I like the cat.
Hmm.
Yeah, anyone who's had a cat could relate to Tara, I think. That slight sense of disdain and not contempt, that's a bit too strong, but sort of, oh, for goodness sake, really? And she was absolutely appalled at the sight of Gale's beard and just, no, that's unacceptable.
I have that mentioned in my notes. I'm so happy that you
Oh,
mentioned
right.
that. Yeah. Um,
Thing.
because um, I, what a great transition, because I was going to ask, what was your most remembered line from all of your characters?
Oh my God.
I know
Um,
there's probably 14, 15, 20,000 lines, but
there was an awful lot of lines over a 5-year period. And the one that sort of seems to come up a lot for Ethel. Oh no, for the hag is I'll kick your spine out of your asshole, and everyone seems to like that one, which says something, I think, about the Baldur's Gate community, quite frankly. Um, but and Ethel going on about her lotions and potions, would you come and visit me across the forest and the woods and all that kind of thing. Um, no, I don't remember. I have to be honest. I don't remember specific lines, but just I suppose more the tenor of each character. Oh yes, there was that the pigeons. She loves eating pigeons. And what was it? Pigeon meat is my second favorite meat. I think I can't remember what her first favorite was now. I've completely forgotten that. Um, but yes, pigeons are delicious. Yes.
I do actually have a few lines that are written down that sort of stuck
Okay.
out to me. Um, would you want to go over them and see if you remember any of them?
Okay, go on then.
Okay, so the one that you just mentioned was Tara. Shave that thing off your face. It's worse than I remember. Um, and Gale responds something along the lines of, "Why? What's wrong with my beard?" And the response to that was, "If you have to ask, there's no hope." There's that sarcasm for sure.
Yes. Yeah, Tara was fabulous. I love Tara.
Um, and there was a lot of harsh insults that the hag delivered for sure. Um,
Yeah,
the rip the spine out the arsehole was one, as you just
yeah.
mentioned. I have
What was
three more
it?
that were here.
Okay.
Half elf, half human, all useless.
Yeah, that's Rachel Quirk. Good on her. She knew what she was doing.
Why would Shar love you when no one else does?
Yes, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they're sort of, I'm vaguely coming back to me now, but I think Ethel had more than 2,000 lines, so it's kind of difficult to sort of pick out one, but yeah.
last one that I have here is oh look, it's Daddy's little regret. So mean.
Is that the hag or Ethel? I
That
can't
was the
remember.
hag. That was the
Right,
hag. Yeah.
right, okay. Yeah,
That's yeah, the hag was it's very very mean in
yeah,
yeah, once you sort of cross
yeah. Don't get on the wrong side of the hag.
um while talking about lines, and we also mentioned accents earlier, there was a lot of attention to detail that was done in the voice lines and also the delivery of them. You mentioned the Irish accent.
Yeah.
Um, there's also some subtle references in the lines that people may not have picked out on. There was a wooden spoon line that was
Right.
delivered by the hag, and that seemed to be very a lot of people have mentioned that that's very associated with Irish culture growing up. That
Oh, right.
yeah,
Okay, I
so
didn't know that.
that's just a lot of people who have been mentioning it who are Irish and have
Right,
grown up as such. But apparently, that's something that is very something that hit home and associates with them.
right.
And
Okay.
there's a lot of references that are done like that, so it's
Yeah.
really interesting to pick those out.
Yeah, well, Rachel would have known those actually. Yes, of course. She being Irish, she would have, yeah, she would have had a clear understanding of. So I suspect I probably missed some of the nuances because I didn't sort of sorry, didn't know the
Okay.
significance of a particular line. But yeah, so that's useful to know. I didn't realize that about the wooden spoon thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to see just how layered and in depth all
Yeah,
of the writing actually goes if you deep dive into it a little bit more.
yeah, yes, yeah. Well, good writing. I think that's why it has layers. Yeah.
Absolutely. And everything's just sort of interconnected with each other, and
Mhm.
the,
Mhm.
the writing team collaborated very well with that.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
I don't know how many writers there were actually, because there must because there's so many characters in it.
yeah,
There must
each
have been
each
a
character has
big
their own
writing team.
individual writer, and then
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's right.
that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I think Rachel wrote I think she did write some on one of the other characters as well, but I don't know who it was. I'd forgotten. But yeah, I'm fairly sure she wrote somebody else as well. So yeah, a lot of work over a long period of time, actually.
hmm Um, with all three characters in mind, we as a player know that Ethel and the Hag are one of the same, um, but delivery wise and tonality wise, there's a major difference between both characters and how you deliver those lines. It's essentially a new character.
Yeah.
It's would you say that's accurate?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So when they showed me what she looked like, I'd like to kind of say it was this kind of extraordinary moment. I thought, oh my God, something amazing happened, and I thought, oh my God, right, what do I do with this? Right, okay. Um, but she looks it's so bizarre. And also when we were doing motion capture for the hag, my hands kept getting weak. 'Cause of course, she's got these huge hands. So I was sort of moving my hands. I'm like, no, 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 you can't do that. Stop, stop, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see any of her face. And of course, you need to see her expression and those hideous teeth.
Yeah.
But no, she is. It is a very different character to from Ethel. Um, but there are links. There's definite links. And I suppose it's a bit like I'd like to think of it as someone completely, Ethel is the kind of the external, what we show to the world, and
hmm
maybe I'm giving too much information away about myself, but Ethel is what you show the world, and the hag is what's really going on. I don't know.
Different personalities between the two. What was it like swapping between personalities? I imagine each character was done separately, but no, they weren't. They were done
No,
together.
to start with, they were.
Okay.
But then as we all got more familiar with the characters, like Okay, these next 4 lines are the hag. Oh, right, okay. And then the next, however many pages or whatever are the Ethel, and then we'd go back to the hag again. So no, it wasn't always completely separate. It was sort of
Oh.
suddenly just, oh, right, so into the hag now. Fine, okay.
So what was it
Yeah.
like switching personalities between the characters? How did you sort of channel Ethel and then, snap of a finger channel to the hag or
Pure
Tara?
genius, darling, pure genius. That's all that happened. No, I mean, I don't think there's any kind of particularly kind of intense or complicated process that goes on, but because I was by that point so familiar with both characters,
Hmm.
um, and also once you start doing the voice, there's and you can't really imagine the hag, the someone with the hag's voice being a nice character, really. So that kind of also propels how you play it as well.
Hmm.
Um, so I just need some water. So yes, yeah. So once we knew well, once I knew what I was doing, it wasn't that difficult to kind of flip between them.
It's yeah, being able to uh know the character more, and I imagine it just got easier with time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Yes. I mean, those first, I think I was probably first fairly disastrous in the first few sessions. Um, and also just getting used to the costume, which is absolutely boiling hot. Um, and I have to say, not exactly flattering either. I'm just sincerely hoping that nobody has any photos of me in my costume, but that suit. Um, so in the first few sessions, you're just getting used to how you move, and because although there's a lot of movement, you are actually standing still. You're not allowed to kind of step out of um, a very kind of limited space in a
Hmm.
sense. Um, so getting used to that and getting used to what happens when you wave your arms around, and then one of the sensors would fall off, and then you'd have to stop and put the sensors back on, and then because it's velcro, you'd stick to bits of you would stick to yourself and think, okay, now so we have to start again. But so once I got used to sort of all that side of it, it obviously became a lot easier.
We uh we were mentioning Comic-Con earlier. Someone just said, "The Hag, my next hopeful cosplay. Wish me luck. Good luck to you."
Right, okay. See you there. Where is it?
um, just to sort of talk about the suit, I vaguely have an idea of what it's like. It's like a jumpsuit. Have a bunch of lights and microphones attached everywhere. It's almost
Yeah.
skin tight. Is that accurate?
It's black and it's sort of fuzzy
Hmm.
because it's got to have the little sense of, the Velcro has to be able to stick to everything, and a very fetching hat as well. So, so it would track the head movements, obviously. Yeah, it very tight suit and shoes as well. The shoes have to go over your normal shoes.
Hmm.
Um, so yes, these sort of little white bubbles all over the place. I have no intention of showing you.
The helmet sort of like fits on the head, and it's like a plastic bit that reaches over, or is
No,
it?
no, no, it's a little floppy little cap,
Oh, okay.
but it's made of the same things, but it's just got white little bobble things, little sensors all over it.
Oh, okay. Just for
Yeah,
head movement and.
yeah, it's a bit like a beret, really,
Mm-mm.
but elasticated.
But
Sounds very glamorous, isn't it?
just filtering through the mental images of
Yeah, please don't,
yeah.
don't. Let's leave it there. Okay.
um so transitioning away from Baldur's Gate, would you mind if I ask a couple of questions about other works that you've done?
Fine, go ahead.
So you played a character named Kate Andrews on EastEnders, is that right?
Yeah, a million years ago. Yeah, yeah. Um, I have to say again, God, I sound like I'm, in some other completely different world, but I'd never actually seen EastEnders. I
Hmm.
just thought, and because I'd done, I think, I'm just trying to sort of remember the timing of it all. I'd done Cavan QC, in which I played a
Yep.
solicitor, but because and I had no idea that with a soap, which is what EastEnders is, you film you're shooting so fast, such a quick process. Whereas the Kavanagh that I'd done, it was a 3-week shoot, and it was fine. And then I went on to EastEnders, like, right, you're on, right, now you're off. Oh my god, okay, that's it. Is there anything specific you'd like to know about EastEnders? Because I know very little about it.
Uh, that assists with my next question. I was gonna ask about EastEnders because,
Yes.
um, you know, I feel like a lot of people in North America have heard of EastEnders because it's that
Yeah.
popular, but
Huge. Yeah.
watching the show, I don't think it's really seen very well over here.
Right. Right.
But it's been going on since the 80s, I'm pretty sure. It's,
Yes.
what is it
Yeah.
now?
It has.
40 years almost now? 4 decades?
Yes, I think it started in the mid-80s.
Yeah.
And I think it's on. I think 2 or 3 times a week on TV. I don't know how much sense it would make to anyone outside the UK, to be honest, because it's set in a very specific part of, well, the East End of London.
Yep.
Um, and I mean, I know it's a very different thing, but I was told by an American that they were watching Peaky Blinders, and they had to have the subtitles on for Peaky Blinders. So I don't know if it would be the same process for EastEnders, actually. Um, but I really can't tell you that much more about it because I haven't actually seen it. So,
This is, you mentioned subtitles and accents. This is, um, a little bit inspired from Dan Allen. I did watch his interview with you, and
okay.
big props to him for what he does. Um, but accents are sort of something that's your thing. Accents are
Um,
something you pick up on. Well,
with some accents, yes, I seem to have an ear for accents. Um, and I always used to get cast when I was at Bristol. I always used to get cast as kind of American and Russian and sort of I don't, for some reason, and Welsh. Yeah, I like doing accents, and and even as a child, I used to play around with accents. I think in the way a lot of actors do, you just mess around with voices and accents and things because you're so bored with being yourself, quite honestly, I think. So yeah, so I like doing accents, but I'm like, I'm, I don't know why I have an ear for accents, but I can't sing to save my life. But yeah, accents are good. I like doing accents. And some I do, and I think, yeah, that's absolutely terrible. But mostly, yeah, I mess around with them and just give it a go. And also, usually, if I have a particular character in mind, it makes it a lot easier because even if I'm not replicating that character, it gives me a kind of guideline, I suppose, in in how it should sound. Sorry, my voice is slightly going. I've
you
also
know,
been talking too much.
I'm in the same boat. I'm needing a sip of water
Yeah.
every sentence and every question. This
How often
heat.
do you do this?
Interviews?
Yeah.
Um, as often as I can.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
Um, I lately it's been about one a month,
Oh,
sometimes one every 2 months. So
right. Oh, God.
definitely
I'm so sorry. Right.
all good. Happens.
Yeah.
Um, I try as often as I can.
Right.
I reach out to um folks who on my end you have to be passionate about the person, the character, and
Yeah.
everything.
Of
So
course.
I would reach out to ones who um I think that I could have a uh, passion about, someone
Oh,
who
right.
I connect to, or at least I think I connect to
Right.
um, more, and I think that just makes for a better show.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. No, of course. Yes, you have to have some kind of interest or engagement with that character, I
yeah,
suppose.
exactly. I
Yeah.
wouldn't just toss it out to anybody and just to do it. It would be someone that I'm really passionate about. So I think that makes it a little bit more um, makes it so that there's longer periods of time between
Right.
interviews. But
Okay.
um,
Oh, I feel honored.
you know, I've said this to Andrew Raphael the first time that we spoke, and I said um, even if his character is not the final boss of the game, he
Mm,
stole the show, and he felt like the final boss. Like, how can you top
right,
that? And I'm gonna
right.
tell you the same thing that I told him
Oh, wow.
in terms of Act One. You may not be the person who progresses the main storyline as a requirement, but you stole the show. You're the show stealer of Act One.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's a real compliment, actually. Thank you.
I there's so many different like layers and levels that go um, that you brought to life, and yeah, that's definitely a show stealer for me. It's more memorable than the main boss of Act One.
Oh, wow. I'm really pleased. That's amazing. That genuinely is a compliment, and that's great because there's so many amazing characters and actors in it. So that's fantastic. Thank you.
That's not to dismiss anybody else, obviously.
No, sure.
That's just how I received it.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course. It's a very subjective thing, isn't
yeah.
it? Because some people, I mean, I just sort of comments I've seen, and everybody mentions a different character that they have some kind of engagement with over another, and that's absolutely. I mean, you go and see a play, and it's the same thing, or a film, or a TV thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's going to connect to a different character in a different way,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah,
experiences have to do with that, and
yeah.
whatever else it may be. So, um, I more prefer the villains. I'm definitely more of
Right.
a villain fan, so I might be a little biased in that right there. But um,
They do tend to be more fun, don't they? The villain.
yeah, they're more free and expressive.
Yeah,
Um, if someone's neutral or leaning to the side of evil,
yeah,
yeah, they definitely have more freedom of expression and freedom to
yeah.
be them. There's almost an obligation for a good character.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Actually, that's a really interesting way to look at it. Yes, I didn't think of that, but no, you're right. Then they're not constrained by a morality, I
yeah,
suppose. Yeah, and accepted behavior, or certainly appropriate behavior. They don't care about. It just doesn't enter into their kind of mode of thinking, I suppose. Yeah, okay.
a comment that just came in. Auntie Ethel, the hag, absolutely made me want to continue playing. She was a phenomenal character. She has depth,
Oh,
motivations, and watching the swamp come on over the sunny glade. My heart belongs to Raphael, but if it not for the hag, and I would not have kept playing long enough to meet him. So,
oh my God. Oh, fantastic. Thank you for that. I'm this is great. Thank you.
um, I think something that's really interesting is um, just for confirmation before I finish my thought, you have no ties to being Irish at all. You're not. You were in London.
No, yeah, I'm a yes, absolutely. But I think I'm somewhere maybe in a past life. If I believed in such things, I would think I'm Irish because I have quite a lot of Irish friends. And when we were growing up, there were a lot of Irish people lived in the same area, and we knew a lot of Irish people. And I seem to have an affinity with them. And actually, I have been to Ireland, and I had a great time. Loved it.
It helps having friends and people you
Yeah,
interact with. You kind of
yeah,
almost naturally pick up a few things, and again, if you have an ear
yeah.
for it, it goes even beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Auntie Ethel character was not based, but certainly inspired by a friend of my mum's who was a very eccentric Irish lady, and I used to love it when she came round to see us because she was. I'm completely barking, but great fun. And yeah, deeply eccentric is kind of putting it mildly, really. So yeah, she lives on in Ethel.
I think that's something that also um, takes an extra step further as well, considering that, you know, you were doing a character that was Irish inspired and you're not Irish. I think that's something that is a disconnect for people in the sense that if you do it badly, people don't like the voice or how it sounds. But when you do it correctly, there's an extra level of achievement and an extra level of um, admiration for the character. And I
Right.
think that's where you kind of step in and you take it to that next level because
Yeah.
um, there's a lot of people who are confused. They actually think that, you would be from Ireland, that you've lived
Right.
there or, you've been.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do that and you're not, that is above and beyond. You can't top that. You can't top that.
Well, I know that not long after it came out, one of my favorite comments on Twitter was that someone said, "Oh, at last an Irish actor in one of these games." And I thought, "Oh God, that's so exciting!" That was the best compliment because I was worried because I mean I know that when I go and see something and someone who is not, let's say, English, they're doing an English accent, and I think, oh God, and it really grates on my ear, and I think, can they tell? Can they tell that I'm not Irish? And every now and again in a session, I'd say a line, think, yeah, no, that word sounded English, and we'd do it again.
Mm.
So it was something. It is something I worry about. I think, oh God, will they be able to tell that I'm a complete fake, basically?
Well,
But good. I'm glad it was believable because that. If you don't believe the character, whether it's through the voice or the movement or whatever, you've lost the person. You've lost whoever's playing or watching or listening. Um,
you lose an immersion.
yeah.
You want to immerse the person into the story, and if there's
Yes.
if that immersion is lost by some art form along the way, it could be there's many different art forms that go into a character, but if even one is off the track, then yeah, you lose the immersion for the character.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Um, so that's good. I'm glad that that worked.
Think you had most, if not all of us fooled.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
fantastic. As I said when they told me that Rachel was listening in and that she was Irish, I thought, oh God, maybe I should just leave now. But no, it seemed to work okay. So that's nice to know. That is nice to know. Sorry, my dog is making strange noises here. So if you hear, he tends to howl a bit occasionally. But yeah. Mm.
Did did any of the sort of more brutal voice lines set the writer like back, kind of like was stunned?
I don't know. She was it was because of course she was listening remotely. She was in Ireland and we were
Mm.
in sunny Croydon. So if she was covering it very well. She was always very polite. And then I met her and she was not polite but lovely. She dropped the formality, let's put it that way.
um Going along the other works that you've done, you've been in Warhammer as Mother. Oh, I'm gonna butcher this
Mother
name.
Ostankia.
Thank you so much.
Ostankia. Yeah. Yes, Mother Ostankia. Another old bag, actually. So
I was listening to some voice lines and I saw the character and
yeah,
Mother Hag, basically.
another hag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start getting a complex if this goes on, but it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Because that was not long after I'd finished Baldur's Gate, actually, and then like, oh right, another hag. This time, sort of Eastern European. She was supposed to be, I think. We started off with a kind of Russian accent, and then I thought, actually, let's make it not that specific in a sense. So we kind of went for an all-purpose European, Eastern European accent on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is pretty much based on, I mean, I don't know if you heard of Baba Yaga? That's a sort of legend of Eastern Europe,
Yep.
and that's pretty much who she's based on, I think, or inspired by, certainly.
I I may be born North America, living in Canada, but family traditions Ukrainian. So
Ah, okay.
yeah,
Oh, so you know Baba Yaga.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Do you
Very
speak it?
very familiar. I do. I do. I speak
Oh, you
to.
do?
I try to keep it strictly to family because it's sort of
Right.
a just a respectful thing to
So,
folks who are older in the family. So
yeah.
usually just my grandma. Um,
Okay. Oh, fantastic.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, it's she's not she's not great at English either. Like she's okay, but
Right.
um, definitely um,
I
definitely more Ukrainian to speak
right.
to. Learned a
Okay.
lot, and the food is fantastic. Let me tell you.
Oh yes. Oh yes, of
It's
course. How funny. Because my grandmother was Polish.
oh,
Um,
okay, so
yeah.
a lot of
So she,
similarities.
very similar, pierogi and all that kind of thing. I've got so yeah.
Kielbasa,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. How funny. See, we're all over the place, really, aren't we? I think of
um,
myself as a mongrel, really.
I love that. Um, the character that you did in Warhammer, though, different sounding hag, different accent, as you mentioned. Um, I really listened closely to when you said "I am Kislev." You can kind of hear the hag from Baldur's Gate when you say
I'm
that.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure you
Um,
can.
unless it is challenging to catch, like unless you're really focused in, unless you know prior to,
Right.
but you can definitely hear little hints of the hag from Baldur's Gate in there, and I
Yeah,
found
I'm
that
sure.
fantastic.
Oh, really? Because I was worried that it would be too similar.
No, no,
Um,
I liked it.
oh, right. Oh, good. Because
Yeah.
they said it came for so soon after I finished Baldur's Gate, and I was still sort of trying not to do Ethel and the Hag, and so trying to rethink it. And of course, having a different accent helped, but nonetheless, you think, oh God, are they going to be able to tell that it's her? But well, I'm glad you liked that element of it.
Yeah, I did. It was great. It's yeah, like I mentioned, it is different.
Yeah.
There's a different approach to it, and
Yes. Yeah. I don't think she's quite as evil as Hag.
doesn't sound like it. No, Hag is way more cruel, I would
Yes, and I
say.
think with Astankia that although her means may be cruel, her intentions are sort of honourable. She's doing it for Kislev, of course.
Yeah,
But so yeah, that was quite. But that was just audio. That wasn't motion capture.
yeah. There was a an image that pops up on your screen, and um, I've seen a little bit. I haven't delved into the game itself, but I've
Right.
definitely listened to voice lines and seen cutscenes. So wanted
Yeah.
to uh, wanted to sort of not make a comparison, but
Yeah.
um, talk
No,
about
it's a
that
very
because
different character.
yeah,
I think
absolutely,
because Ethel and the Hag, there's humour. There
yeah,
is humour in that character. Was actually Ostanka is a full-on warrior, really.
yeah.
Um, so
There's a
Lupin,
lot more honor, and
yeah,
Hag is very for self. I find,
yeah.
yeah,
She's not constrained by honor.
no. Um, I do have a couple of questions that have been sent to me. There's a couple here, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
This one comes from a person named Snorlax Snacks. What was it like to play three different roles and three different personalities? Biggest one being the cat and then the hag. Um, we talked a little bit about Ethel and Hag's tonality and voice approach, but
Yeah.
three different personalities, three different characters. What was sort of like? What was that like?
I enjoyed it because I mean, I think one of the criticisms, certainly with theatre acting, is that, once the show is up and running, you're just doing the same thing over and over again, really. And if you, especially in a long run, you think, oh my God, and the danger is always that you go into automatic pilot if you're doing, if you're in a long run. There's no chance of that happening with this at all. So playing three different characters was, variety. It's always good, and you suddenly, and I think if you play sort of one character, you find something different in each one. Um, to kind of hook onto in a sense. And actually, Tara was such a joy to do. She's such a great character. Um, sort of rather condescending, bit of condescension and sarcasm always goes down well, doesn't it? I think, especially as a Brit. So we do that well. We do condescend.
I spoke with the person who uh, was at the helm of Roland in Baldur's Gate,
Right.
and he was also involved in theater. It seems like there's a theme that everyone has some form of theater background, at least from what
Yeah.
I spoke to. He mentioned that in theater for him, on the stage, there's not really props. There's just sort of like sticky tape on the ground, and it might say car on it or something, and you sort of have to bring to life that, hey, there is a car there in this scene. Is that something you
Oh,
relate
right.
to?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, I'm just trying to think. It's a while since I've done theatre. The last show I did was a Shakespeare, so there were no cars in it. But yeah, well, maybe that's a different technique. But it sounds like he was a bit younger. But I'm certainly in Britain, the training certainly in my day was theatre, and then you kind of learnt TV and film as you went along. But the foundation was very much theatre. I suspect that's changed quite a bit over the last however many centuries since I was at Bristol.
Hmm.
So I think there is a lot more emphasis now on film and television, but certainly, I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I think the thinking was that if you can kind of do theatre, you can adapt to pretty much anything. Well, I don't know how true that is. I can't say definitely yes or no. Um, but there is definitely kind of discipline in theatre.
Hmm.
Um, that sets you up, I think, for other media in it.
Yeah, I've made mention in several interviews with others that there's a lot of transferable skills, um,
Right. Yeah.
and um, being able to adapt to that is something that is definitely future proofing if you started in theater.
Yeah. Yes. But I think the only sometimes the not the problem, but the issue is that because theatre acting is just by its very nature sort of bigger than TV or film acting. But actually, in a sense, I think maybe that's why it quite works for video games because they are broad characters, actually. They're not by any stretch of the imagination naturalistic. Um, so I think that's probably why they use theatre actors. Um, but whereas in film and TV, because it's close up and you're not having to project voice or anything like that, it's much smaller in a sense.
Hmm.
Um, I think that would be the main difference between theatre and other media, really.
With with motion capture sort of becoming a normality in video games, just sort of becoming a that's seen as projects more and more. I think that
Right.
I think that theater background is definitely setting up those who are in theater uh,
Yeah.
well ahead. Like that's
Let's hope
excellent to
so.
have that. Oh, I think
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
more than confident. I think for
Right.
sure
Right.
because
Yeah.
yeah, it seemed like yeah, Larian really wanted to have everyone with theater background of some form to be able to do this, and
Right.
that was really smart. And um, Baldur's Gate sort of set a tone for other video games to kind of follow suit because it's won every award basically that you can think of, and in every category, and it completely
I
swept.
I know, astonishing. Because I think we were sort of close to finishing, and it was obviously starting to make waves at some point. And someone said, working on it, I'm one of the sort of technical people. He said, here we are, here we are. We thought we were making a nice little niche video game, and it just kind of went stratospheric. I mean, way beyond anyone's kind of expectations, I think. Um, and now when you tell people you're on Baldur's Gate, they get really excited. I mean, I went for was sitting in reception. I was going to do a voiceover or dubbing, I can't remember. And the guy in reception was asking me what I'd done. I said, well, I just finished Baldur's Gate. And he got so excited. Yeah, calm down, calm down. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's when mentioning awards, there was many times where more than one actor was nominated for the same
Yeah,
award.
yeah,
Um, if you have a list of six, you might see two or three, both from Baldur's Gate, and it's
yeah,
sort of sad because how can you choose? It's hard.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it goes to show that just how out of this world it is. But
Hmm. Hmm.
when you have an award of six and half the
Yeah.
cast is Baldur's Gate, it's really hard and not fair.
It's
It's like,
exciting. It's
why can't
exciting.
they all win?
I know, and because I remember, I think the first time I heard Amelia doing the narration, I thought, wow, that is a fantastic voice.
Yeah,
She did it absolutely beautifully. I love the way what she did actually, because with narration, because you're not playing a character, it's a lot more difficult in a way because you don't have the eccentricities or the characteristics of a particular creature or whatever it is.
you don't
But
get the
no, I
mental
thought,
image.
no, that's right. She did a phenomenal job with that, I thought.
To my knowledge, from her appearance on that BAFTA panel, she said that she does a form of growl to get a lower
Right.
tonality, a lower
Ah,
voice
okay.
to sort of
Okay.
step into that. And she does tabletop Dungeons and Dragons, where she's also a narrator. So
Ah,
um,
right.
it,
Okay.
it was really in her element, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
being a voice sort of guide the player, and
Yeah.
every single character that you choose has a different personality and different
Yeah.
motives, and
Yeah.
she would have to voice every single motive, and I think she said there was 17 personalities.
Right. Right.
So
Okay.
that
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
different
Yeah.
voice for each, different presentation for each, different tonality for each. That's
Yeah.
astonishing.
No, she was fantastic. And also I have to say, a lot of admiration for Larry and for going with a female narrator actually, because it might have changed, but certainly something like Dungeons and Dragons was so associated with boys and men playing it that to go for a female narrator, I think was quite brave, and
Yes.
it worked brilliantly actually.
When normally when you think of like narrators, the first sort of place a lot of people go with is like Morgan Freeman. I would want him to narrate my life the entire
Right.
time. Sort of like a lower,
Yeah.
gruff, sort of
Yeah.
not raspy, but like lower tonality, lower
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
voice. National Geographic. There's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
primarily males, from my
That's
understanding.
right. Yeah.
Um, Sam Elliott, a really
Yeah.
low voice, commercials, everything like that. So yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely ambitious, definitely brave,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I would say it paid off because
Completely. Completely.
she was right for the role. Um,
Completely.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, she did a phenomenal job with that. Yeah.
yeah, that's actually a good shout. I didn't really think about that
Yeah.
um until speaking about it. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. 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 I mean, because everyone I've ever known who's ever played video games is male. So I just thought, oh, interesting that they've chosen that. Um, but actually, what was interesting at Comic Con, so I'm just going to get rid of this, at Comic Con was how many young women there were there. who came to the Baldur's Gate thing and all the other thing. So because it's not something I'm that familiar with, I still tend to associate it with males. But actually, yeah, a lot of women there. Um, so I think that's definitely changed over the years. I think
I
that
mean,
image.
I've attended several conventions just as a attendee, but I've also done panels before at
Right.
conventions as well, speaking at them, and the the transition and the normality is that it's for anyone can
Yeah,
cosplay whatever character, and
absolutely.
that is all accepted into one
Yeah,
roof, and
yeah.
um,
Yeah,
you know,
incredibly inclusive, actually. Yes.
be
Yeah,
nerdy, be geeky,
yeah,
love the character you love, and
yeah.
um, I think it really the only thing to really focus on is the artwork if
Yeah.
you're cosplaying. That should be the most important is the time, the dedication, even if it's store bought. Hey, you're cosplaying your favorite character, and um, that's being able to express yourself in a costume is a lot braver
Oh
than
God,
most.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. As I said, they were all turning up on the tube and all these people were kind of staring at them like, what on earth is going on? It's Comic Con. Right. Okay. But yeah. Well, and why not? Why not?
Um, came in female video gamer since 1984, baby. D&D since 92. It's been amazing to see it's become so much more diverse since I started.
Right.
Yeah, um I imagine 80s and 90s was a different time period, especially D&D because back in 80s and 90s D&D was sort of seen as um like an evil entity. It was not
Right.
really if you grew up in the 80s and 90s and you like D&D, most parents didn't approve of that. It was definitely seen as
Really?
evil. Oh yeah. At
Why
least
is that?
I think it has something to do with, dragons, demons and things like
Right.
that. I don't know and understand the thought process. Mine is it's an imagination,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean, that surprises me because I would have, again, this is not my area of expertise at all, but I would have thought it has some. It's like an extension of, let's say, something like Lord of the Rings, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
that same kind of fantasy world where it creates a whole universe in a sense.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine why that surprises me that parents would be disapproving.
I mean, yeah, what's the difference between Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter,
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that? It's a lot better if it's made up, Have that imagination, be a kid.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yes. I suppose the only difference is that in the old days we'd have been reading it rather in the old days, but and now it's gone on it's advanced a few steps. That's all I think.
That's the thing. There's a lot of books. Lord of the Rings, I would say, is pretty advanced reading level for
Yeah,
someone who is of the younger demographic. You would think,
yeah,
hey, they're improving their reading. That would be fantastic.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would be more impressed if they were able to, a 10, 12-year-old would be able to properly read Lord of the Rings or Harry
Oh God,
Potter
yeah,
from
yeah,
cover to cover and not be confused. I would be applauding that. I'm not a parent, but I would be
yes.
applauding something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we can't. Well, it's interesting because over the years we've been hearing, oh, yes, now because of video games and social media, kids aren't reading, but actually they still are. They are reading, and that's heartening. Actually, I like that. It's good to know that's still going on
Especially
because people.
with Baldur's Gate, because Baldur's Gate, there's a lot of reading that's involved.
Right.
There's a lot of lore. Um,
Yes, that's right.
I believe I think it was Neil again who said that there's over 180 hours of just cutscenes, and that
Right.
is longer than all three Lord of the Rings films combined. And also,
Oh,
I believe it was voice line wise, there are more lines than the entirety of what is it, Game of Thrones, all the seasons.
I have to say that doesn't surprise me. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm thousands upon thousands of lines. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm a kind of mammoth task for the writers, actually. Yeah,
yeah. That's definitely more than a passion project, I would say.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, quite a big deal, I think.
It's it's just a little bit. Yeah, I think the consumption is the same, but the media is different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, that's right. Yeah, actually, it's a good way of putting it. It's true. Yeah,
yeah. Um, audiobooks is becoming
yeah,
um more normalized, and
yeah, that's right.
reading or listening to a book, it's the same thing,
Yeah,
I would say,
I, d-
in a
I don't
way.
know. Yeah, yeah, I think it does depend on the book because because when you're reading, you actually get you have such a well, I get such a strong sense of what a character is like, but when you hear someone read an audio book, that imposes
Hmm.
um, something on it that reading doesn't, I
Hmm.
suppose. Um, but no, I never thought I'd like audiobooks, but actually I do. I've got used to them now. I like audiobooks.
I've been since talking to Andrew, he's done over 100 audiobooks apparently.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I've been trying to listen to a few of those and in my
Right.
spare time, and yeah, I like the way that he does his audiobooks because he's not just a monotone voice. He does
No.
different voices too. So
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
brings
Yeah.
some characters
Yeah.
forward. So I like
Yeah.
that. I like his
Yeah.
style.
Oh, I'll have to listen to him. I didn't know that. Okay. I'll check it out.
I think he has one coming up next week. So
Right.
he's been
Okay.
recording a lot. So um, this one was not sent to me directly. This one was just my own uh, research notes, and it showed up, and there was a lot of articles on it. Actually, I was surprised over the
Right.
last 3 or 4 days. This is very recent. Someone named Little Purpose on TikTok inquired about Auntie Ethel as a romanceable character, and someone else also implied a non-violent situation and solution in which the player character and Ethel both get what they want. Um, what are your sort of thoughts wrapped around that?
I'm, that has completely baffled me.
Yeah, me too. I just saw the article and it showed up
Right.
this week, and I thought this could be very interesting to include.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Um, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one.
Larian shut down both ideas, by the way.
Oh, right. Okay.
Uh, they sort of said, not in a million years or good luck or something like that. Yeah,
Oh,
that's not the
honestly.
that's not the character for it, but
Right.
they were very quick to shut both down. But I saw the article and I thought, hey, you might as well
Oh,
include it.
right.
It's very
Okay.
very recent hag stuff, and I thought it could be an interesting conversation point.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah, maybe I'll have a chat with someone at Larian about it.
I know a lot of people have been interested in non-romanceable characters to be romanceable, and it seems like there's a few who are interested.
Okay, I have to admit, confess to my ignorance here. I don't really know what that means exactly in terms of a video game.
Okay. Would you like an explanation, or is that something that's not of
No,
interest?
no, I would quite like an explanation, actually.
So, in video games, especially in role-playing games, romanceable options, quote unquote, is when you get to um, have a be more fond of the other character that you are interested with. It could be gift
Ah,
giving. It could be um, their dialogue changes. There's many different things if they are not approving of you or if they're approving of you, and um, yeah, I would say it's more of a dialogue change and a more of how they approach
okay.
you sort of thing.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yes, I assumed it had something similar to that. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't quite sure what that was about. Okay. Right. Yes, water time.
It's seen a lot in Dragon Age and similar role playing games. Um,
Right.
and um, actors who were involved, they say that there are intimacy coaches, so they
That's
are
right.
in a
Yeah. Yeah.
they're always in a safe spot and they can deny
Yes.
whatever they would like. So that's
Yeah.
very nice to hear that it's
Yeah.
full consent on their part and that they are
Oh
able
no,
to
absolutely. Yeah.
um, have everything.
Yeah. I know a lot. I think that is fairly standard practice now. Intimacy coaches and coordinators. Yes. Yeah.
So that would mean that there's generally three different kind of coaches, and if it comes to motion capture, voice, movement, and intimacy coach, if it's of this
Yeah.
style. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it comes no surprise that Auntie Ethel had no intimacy coaches because she didn't need them, and neither did Tara. But yeah, yes, it's voice movement, and yeah, intimacy. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with the comment that just came in. The tag doesn't seem interested in being friends.
I think that's fairly clear, really, isn't it?
Yeah, like in the kind of set out on for herself and
Yeah,
potions and well, Mayrina, of course.
yes, of course, Mayrina. Yeah, she's not fond of Mayrina. Well,
No,
Mayrina serves a purpose, and that's it.
to expand on the hag's motives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well.
Um,
Yeah, I think her motives are whatever she feels like at the time, aren't they? That I think that's as far as it goes. I don't think there's how can one put this? There's not great not thought because there obviously is, but yeah, she is completely out for herself. That's it. It's what she wants and what works for her,
in a
and the
devious
effect it
way.
has. Yeah, absolutely, and the effect it has on anyone else is completely immaterial.
Yeah, it's irrelevant when it happens
Absolutely.
worldwide or
Yeah. Yeah.
person wide. It's
Or individually to a person, yeah, it has no, yeah, it would just not enter her head at all. So, yeah,
it's yeah, it's interesting to see just all the different personalities that each character has. Some are, the noble sort, some are the hag sort,
yes,
out for
yeah,
themselves. There's characters that want to see just destruction just because
yeah,
it pleases them, and welcome to
yeah,
D&D.
yeah. No, I mean, I think she's evil for the sake of it. That's
Yeah.
it. There's no other kind of motive there of she had a terrible childhood or anything like that. I think she's just an evil creature. That's all there is to it.
There's yeah, it's we run into that very quickly as a character, as a player,
Yeah.
and one of them being the eye.
Oh yes,
I'm sure you're familiar with some of the lines of that.
yes. The eye, and then the worm. Was it the
Yeah,
worm?
the
Yes,
the the
the worm.
tadpole.
The tadpole, that was it.
Yeah,
God, I'd forgotten. Yes, that's right. Yes, I have to say, when I first started on, I thought there were a few occasions where I thought, "What on earth am I talking about? I've got no idea what I'm saying." And it all had to be explained to me. And then I thought, okay, even if I don't know what I'm saying, I kind of know the drive behind it. So, and if it really sounded like I didn't know what I was saying, they'd stop me. So I was in safe hands.
yeah. You said you haven't played um video games before, but have you seen cutscenes? Have you seen scenes from Baldur's Gate of your character?
Yes, I've seen um, I have seen some scenes, and I've seen scenes of other characters, and I've seen Gale, and I've seen Astarion, and I've seen Raphael and Shadowheart, and yeah, so I have watched bits of it because a lot of it, as people put it up on YouTube and things. So yeah, I have watched. Um, no, it's great fun. I can see now. I think Dan said to me, "Do I have since Baldur's Gate? Have I had got sort of more respect for video
Yeah.
games?" Because I had no idea what went into it. It's a real kind of it's a real labor of creativity and technology and all of those things. It's a great medium.
So, is it strange hearing your voice attached to Ethel, Hag, and Tara? Is it strange seeing the image of something else but hearing your voice attached to it? Yeah,
At first, yes, it was. It
yeah.
was. And I did. I hate watching or listening to myself. But I thought, no, I do need to hear what this is like. Um, so yeah, it is very odd. But then, um, and also I think with most actors, they think, oh my God, that was terrible. I should have done that differently. I didn't do a good job there. I think, we always think we've got it a bit wrong somewhere. But that was it was exciting to hear it actually.
I think people who are, especially in the creative um, industry, and I think they're a little bit more harsher to self. It's a little bit more uh, critic towards self.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, I think a lot of self-criticism. I think that does definitely seem to be a characteristic of most actors I know. Like, oh my God, I was absolutely terrible. I don't want you to watch that. Don't listen to it. So um, that's why, that's why it's actually been very reassuring hearing and seeing comments about Baldur's Gate in general and Auntie Ethel and Tara. So it's nice. It's nice to get that acknowledgement, I suppose.
I'm glad to be able to have the chance to deliver that firsthand. So
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure.
thank you. Thank you.
Did you voice another character named Vol as well in Baldur's Gate?
No,
No,
no.
no, that was not you.
What is Vol?
Vol is a character in Baldur's Gate, something that's attached to Zentarum clan. I saw that popped up while doing research, and I thought that doesn't seem right.
No, 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 that's not me. I think someone's got that wrong. It's
Yeah.
definitely not me.
Okay, it's good to confirm that because I
Yeah,
thought that was the case, and I thought I would
yeah,
ask that
not.
there. Yeah,
Don't know who that is.
that's very strange. I think that might have been IMDb.
Hang on a minute. I'm just trying to think because I know that early on, I don't know if this is that character, but I was asked to do, I think maybe 5 to 10 lines of another character, but I don't remember the name of it. Just quick,
Hmm.
just kind of as a filler in, really, but because it wasn't worth getting someone else in to do just as such a small part. So I don't know if that's Vol, but if Vol is one of the bigger characters, then that's definitely not me.
No, side character, definitely.
Right? Okay, no, no, it's not me.
Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, that must have been.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I cannot take either credit or blame for Vol. So,
It's good to confirm, so I appreciate
no.
that.
Yeah.
Um, if anyone would like to ask any questions, now is a great time to do so. Feel free to fire them off, and would be interested to see what you guys would like. But speaking on the eye, while I await a couple, um, are we ever getting that eye back?
No.
No, gone forever.
That's it.
Gone forever. Hmm.
Say goodbye to the eye.
Right when I thought we can get rid of the tadpole in a safe way.
Yeah, that was all very strange because coming to this kind of world completely ignorant of it. And I was like, what on earth is going on here? And then, oh yeah, fine, right, okay, tadpoles and eyes and God knows what.
That is a interesting question. I actually am not sure how that happens. So feel free to explain that and be intrigued. That's my
Right.
own ignorance. I don't know the lore of that, so I would be interested. They were asking about hags and how other hags create other hags. My guess would be. Oh, okay. So I know we were going to primarily avoid in-game stuff, but hags eat children in Baldur's Gate 3 to make other hags.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Oh, right. Oh, I'm sorry. Really?
I did not
Anything
know that.
obvious? Surely. Yeah.
Part of my
No,
ignorance.
no, that was also explained to me quite late on when I was having one of my. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. What am I talking about? Oh yeah. Oh no, you're eating there. Yeah, to create another. Oh right. Okay. So that I can't expand on that really because I thought oh fine okay because once you kind of get that you think okay fine well I'll just go with that then. So yeah. So it's to make sure that the hag line continues really.
Hmm. No,
That the
that's good
hag.
to know.
So, Danny?
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I actually did not do that quest in the
Oh,
in Act
right.
3, so I did
Okay.
not know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, the hags need to we need to make sure that the world doesn't lose out on hags, I think.
I was when I was playing, I was doing the hardest difficulty. Um,
Right. Oh, right.
where
Oh, they're just
if
levels. Oh, okay. Okay.
and if you die, you just lose the entire run. Like it's over. And the hag was always the scariest part about Act 1 because I always had to prepare extra for the hag.
Oh, right.
Um,
I'm so glad. I've always wanted to be scary.
terrifying.
Oh, good.
You make you make like 30 different copies of yourself and they can all stun you
Okay.
and you can end the
Yeah.
run very, very quickly. So there's definitely a your character definitely gatekeeps people from progressing in Act 1. Um,
What fun.
yeah.
And also because there was there an did you come across any bits where because apparently I think Auntie Ethel died, but she was still talking, or the hag died and was still talking. I can't remember which one now.
Um,
Did you come across that?
I don't think so.
Oh right,
There is an
maybe that.
option to make the hag escape.
All right. I thought there
Remember
was
that one.
where Ethel dies, but she can still talk. Okay.
Even more intimidating.
Exactly. Just when you thought it was safe to get back in Baldur's Gate, and no, it wasn't.
I um I do know that in the spot that I didn't see, um there's a voice line you say where it's you yell at the player to get out of your house or something along those lines. Do you recognize that voice line?
I think I'm yelling quite a lot at quite a lot of people and
Yeah.
creatures, aren't I?
Yeah. Anything that passes by and
Yeah, yeah.
someone was saying there's a spell that you can talk to uh a
Yeah.
dead character. So it might be those voice lines.
Ah, okay, okay. Maybe that right, because I seem to remember in one session they said that I'd have to be lying down on the floor because I'm dead, but I'm still speaking. Um, so I just assumed, well, at some point she must die and maybe come back to life again. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not much use on what actually goes on in Baldur's Gate. I'm partly because it went on for so I was doing it for such a long time, and there were so many different bits of it that actually to kind of have a sense of how it really works is it's not my thing. I
Is there
don't
a
know.
chance that after being in games that you would pick up a game at any time?
Do you know, when I did the live stream with Shadow Heart and Aliona, um, I am a bit technologically challenged. I mean, I know what I need to do, and that's about. It's like, okay, I can't cope with learning anymore. So they did kind of give me the console, and so I'm like, okay, press that, and now press that, and I kept getting it wrong. I thought, yeah, I think this maybe isn't for me.
Hmm.
I'll watch when somebody else does it. And I think the other thing about it is that I think if you have that kind of personality, I do get kind of completely immersed in things, and I think that the last thing I need is another thing to get immersed in that is not connected to reality. So maybe let that one go. Let that one pass me by.
Not for everybody. Totally understand.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it must be an absolute pleasure to speak with Shadowheart and
Oh yeah, she's great,
Aliona.
Shannon.
They seem
Yeah,
great. I would
yeah, they're
love to do an
lovely.
interview with them one day.
Oh, have you watched their live streams?
A couple of times, yes,
Yeah,
and yeah,
they're very funny.
they seem amazing
Oh no, they're
to spend
lovely.
time with.
Yeah, they're my new favorite people. I love them.
I don't blame you. I would, yeah, I would 100% love to interview them one day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely worth getting in touch with them. Yeah,
But yeah, I think that's definitely something that I want to do at
mm,
some point. And you know, I always like to keep in touch with the people that I interview.
yeah,
Um, previously, sometimes a second show could
right,
happen.
right.
Um, but always like to keep and expand folks to stay in
I
touch
think
with.
I think you should definitely interview the two of them because they're great together. They're very funny
Yeah,
together.
I've reached out. I don't think I've heard back from
Right.
their agent. I imagine a lot of busy
They've been
times.
they've been away a bit, I think.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that they would be great fun to get on here.
Would we talked about conventions? Would yourself be interested in appearing at conventions or even doing like signing streams? Is that something that's been interested of you?
This is going to sound like false modesty, but I thought, I don't know, there's nobody would turn up, would they? It's like, why would they be remotely interested? So it just never occurred to me. But when I went to, no, I think it would be a fun thing to do, actually. I would quite like to do it. Um, be
A
odd.
Bflattened. I would be amazed if no one turned up. I think that their lines would be full and even sell out. So I
Really?
would 100% look into it for sure if you're able to.
Okay.
An
Okay.
appearance, maybe streamily, if that's something to
Oh,
look
yes,
into.
yes, yeah. Actually, Jen and Aliana were talking about Streamily. I
Yeah,
haven't done Streamily or Cameo or any of those things, but yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, you see, because this is such an alien world to me, pardon the pun, but it is a sort of alien world. And I thought, oh yeah, fine, okay, just do Baldur's Gate and then go on and do something else. That's fine. But because I genuinely didn't have a sense of what a sort of what a community it is really. So that has come as a surprise. But yeah, maybe I need to get onto that.
that's the it's not the first time I've heard that. There's been a lot of people who have said they didn't understand how the scaling was going to be and just
Oh,
how
yeah,
far it was going to go. Um, and it seems like that's true to you as well.
yeah.
5 years later, you know, there's still Baldur's Gate 3 streams happening with the actors. There's still
Yeah.
appearances. There was the symphony that happened recently. That
Oh,
was
that's
really
right.
nice. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
astronomical.
Extraordinary. Absolutely
I
extraordinary.
really wish I could have gone in person. I would have
Right,
done so much to be there in person.
right, right.
Uh,
You mean the one at the Royal Festival Hall? And
yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't go to that. I
I
didn't
would
know about it. So I would have gone. I'd have gone. It would have been great to hear that.
really wanted to have like a
Yeah.
tour come to North America, you know.
Right. Let's set it up.
Yes, it's something that I always encourage in every interview at some point. If you have a
Yeah,
convention near you and you know that it's coming in about 6 months, they
right,
always take requests. Always
right.
feel free to
Okay,
email, put a request in for whichever person you would like
okay.
to see. That's how the ball gets rolling, is just by suggestions. And
Right,
I always
right.
encourage everybody who watches, make suggestions. You never know.
Okay, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not au fait with all this stuff, but maybe it's time. Now that I've played a hag twice between Mother Ostankia and Ethel. I'm going to tell my agent I want to play a sort of sophisticated, glamorous part rather than hags.
I could see like a royalty role. Give us like
Oh,
give us a
darling,
queen.
a queen, my dear. Do you
Yes.
want sort of Queen Victoria, or do you want a sort of Queen Elizabeth with that slightly nasal, And what do you do? How lovely to see you, that kind of slightly, that very clipped voice,
And and you're already ready. We're
I
gonna
think she's not curtsying, quite frankly.
we're gonna take just that segment and we're gonna send that off to Larian and other studios and
Yes,
yeah,
yes. I don't want to
absolutely
play
clip that.
Yeah, do your thing, darling. Do your thing.
um so I guess kind of just to close out, um loved having you here obviously, and um do appreciate the time that you've given to us,
Oh no,
and
it's been fun. Loved it. Great fun to do
would
this.
definitely want to keep in touch for a second show in the future
Yeah,
if you would be willing.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
if I could just ask a couple more questions before signing out, would you have any tips and tricks into getting into acting or voice work? I have I have two tones myself, monotone and lower monotone, and I have no training whatsoever. How would someone like me get into a position where you're at?
Do you know, my advice would be don't.
Uh,
But no,
Okay.
not that's not true. That's not true. Simply because no, simply because it's a difficult business. It's a
Yeah.
really difficult business, and you sort of I've experienced that where you're doing a West End show and you think, oh, this is great, and then suddenly you're kind of out of work again. It's so insecure. It's such an insecure business, and also it's not. It's a lot of it is luck. It's how you look, it's how you sound. They say that when a casting director sees you, they've pretty much made up their minds within the first kind of 30 seconds. I don't know how true that is.
Hmm,
Sorry about this.
that's
Um,
okay.
but it's difficult. It is difficult. I mean, I'm not so much now, thank God. Um, but I have kind of stood in the many years ago, stood in the shop thinking, "Oh my God, can I afford to buy that?" And I'm not talking about a Lamborghini. I'm talking about a sandwich, you know, because it's you have to be prepared for long periods of unemployment. Um, but then I'm making it sound very grim. But on the other hand, it's exciting. It's great fun. I love doing theatre. I mean, it is absolutely terrifying doing theatre, but it is that kind of you get your adrenaline going, and and I love doing voiceovers as well because actually voiceovers gives you a lot of freedom, in a sense. And the other thing, but what's brilliant about voiceovers, you don't have to learn the lines, which is fantastic. um, but now, listen, it's one of those things. If you really want to do it, you have to give it a go, I think, because I think otherwise it's going to be one of those things where you think, I wish I'd done that. Um, but it is tough. It is really difficult point because there's way too many actors. There's so many of us around. Yeah, and we're all different, but and then it goes in, what's flavor of the month, a certain look, a certain sound, a certain, what they want. So yeah, I think it is important to get training simply because that gives you. But there's a lot of actors who didn't go in, who didn't train actually, and I think now I don't know if it's as important really,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think if you want to do it, give it a go. Absolutely.
Vocally, if you were to sing, it's you're training an instrument, right?
Yeah.
And just like voicing a character, you're training um your vocals to finding your voice, you know?
Yeah, yes,
Um,
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's in a sense where the training really comes in, because actually, I mean, I do sometimes. What was it? I went to see a Hollywood actor in something, and he'd never done stage before, and that voice is not going to last actually, because he'd only ever done film. Um, Good actor, but mm-mm, you're not gonna you're not gonna get to the end of the run with that kind of technique. Um, so yeah, but yeah, no, absolutely. I do think if it's something that you really want to do, go ahead, do it.
I spoke to someone named Jim Ferronda. He voices a mascot robot in a game called Borderlands,
Right.
and um, he was also mentioning that when I spoke to him. He said, you know, you send a reel off, and then you kind of just sit around with your thumbs twiddling for the phone to ring, and he said
Hmm.
sometimes either the phone doesn't ring or you could be waiting 2 3 years from now because they could be auditioning for something years in advance.
Yes, that's right. That's right. No, it's not easy,
Yeah.
but I think if that's your thing, then go ahead and do it. Um, but just be prepared for that. I
Yeah.
mean, I think one of our first classes at drama school was, you're going to spend a lot of time unemployed. Oh, great! This is really encouraging. So if you're not Daniel Day Lewis, and there's few and far between those, but no, I mean, I think it's like anything. I think it's like a lot of things in the arts, is that it's precarious, and you kind of strike lucky, or you don't. But it's fun. It is fun.
And I guess the final question that I have, just sort of a fun thing that I like to end off with. Um, yeah, I know your voice has been going out the last couple of hours, but would we be able to have a good night from either Ethel, Hag, or Tara?
Which one would you prefer?
I hate to say it, but the Hag, because I know it's raspy and hard.
Right.
If you want to do Ethel
I'll,
instead.
I'll do the hag for you.
I don't even know that. God, it's such a while since I've done that.
Um, it's been great talking to you, but I have to go now.
I'm so sorry that Hag was a request. I know it's hard on the voice. I know it's late, and
It's fine. It's fine. I was just trying to think, God, do I remember how to do it? Because I think with a lot of actors, once you finish that particular role or that play or whatever, like, right, okay, forgotten it. Because otherwise you kind of keep everybody all these lines in your head, and that would be. So I'm hoping I hope that was the Hag. Anyway, vaguely similar.
it's think I think his name is Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob. He was seen
Right.
at a he was seen at an airport, and one of the things he said in passing was, "Yeah, I got about 50 different personalities that are just stored up here because yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
voices all throughout the years and
Yeah. Of course.
all
Of
different
course.
characters and
Yeah.
everything." Yeah, that makes sense. You don't really want to take that character into another role
No,
either.
no.
Yeah,
Nor into your life, really, no.
especially if it's a hag. um,
Horrifying hag. Yeah, not so sure.
um, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for the time and uh, answering everyone's most desired questions. So
Well, thank you so much for asking me to come on. It's been great fun, actually, and I hope I hope people heard what they wanted to hear and found out what they wanted to find out. And please excuse my ignorance, okay?
I think there's always a learning experience for,
Exactly.
for everybody. So um, thank you so much, and I will definitely keep in touch for
Yes, do.
a future visit.
And I'll have a word with Aliona and Jen and see what we can do.
You know, no expectation on that whatsoever, but
They're
that
very
is
difficult, those two.
That is mad appreciated for the word of mouth. I appreciate that a lot.
All right, darling. Well, lovely to talk to you, and good luck with everything, and good night.
Have a great night, and yeah, you take care. We'll definitely keep in
Thanks.
touch.
All right, darling. Thank you. Bye, Sam.
Take care.
Bye.